So, hi, today we're diving into a website SEO audit with Kelly from the Beauty and Skincare Awards. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, we'll have identified one or two key areas that you can focus on to reach your goals over the next 6 months. So, welcome, Kelly. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
So, if we were to meet in 6 months' time and you were telling me about the amazing things happening in your business, how would your website be helping with that?
So, in 6 months' time, we'll be coming up to our live event. So, by that point, it would be amazing to just grow the entries that we have coming through the website. So, it would be amazing if we were driving more traffic to it so that more people are aware of what we do. We're really focused on the integrity of our awards and making our processes really transparent. So, it'd be great if more people were aware of what we do and how we really represent the industry as a whole, and to have people come to our event. So we try and reach all corners of the industry for our live event, which is the Beauty and Skincare Awards, which is taking place in Birmingham this year in November. And it would be great for that event to sell out. We had a sold out event last year. This year we've doubled the capacity of our venue. So I think our main goals would be more traffic to the websites, that people are more aware of what we do, have an incredible sellout event to really celebrate everything the industry does, and just receive hundreds and hundreds of entries into this year's awards.
Brilliant. Fantastic. That's some really great goals there. So before I share my screen and we dive in, just tell us a little bit more about your business and how your website currently sits within your sort of marketing activities.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is where all of the entries come through. So as the Beauty and Skincare Awards, people can self-nominate. We're not a popularity contest or anything like that. So we truly believe that everyone who feels like they do great work in the industry should be able to put themselves forward. And after they've entered, there is a process where they go on our Instagram page and they can have clients comment on the work that they do to further support their application. So at the moment, people go on the website, they enter through our website, they then get a form which is automatically sent to them after they've entered via email. They fill that out and then that goes to our judges to review to see if they make it through to the finals. Where it sits in our marketing is that a lot of people do come through Instagram, but then they naturally go onto the website, and also vice versa as well. It's quite interesting to see, like metrics wise, how many people come through Instagram and how many people do just find our website but then go onto our Instagram and check us out that way. And our website's a great hub to show previous winners and for people to enter. But with Instagram, it's so visual, isn't it? And for a live event like we do, people love to see what the event's all about, what we do, what happened last year. So yeah, there's a mix of people that come directly to the website and also go from our Instagram and Facebook to the website itself.
And do you know where those people who are coming directly to your website, do you sort of track where they're coming from? Are there other places that people are finding you outside of Instagram or outside of socials in general?
Yeah, we don't track it at the moment. It's something that I'd love to do more of. But quite a few of our finalists and previous winners have featured in like press articles and on websites where they've been featured in the press. So if we have a backlink on that, quite a few people do come through kind of the press route. But apart from that, I know a lot come through like Facebook, Instagram, but we don't really know where everyone else comes from. But it's something that we definitely want to look into more in the future.
Yeah. So do you have anything set up like Google Analytics or Google Search Console or anything?
We don't at the moment, no.
So that would definitely be, that's always my first recommendation
Yeah.
anyway. Whenever I'm working with clients, if you don't have those analytics set up, then I would definitely do that. It's so powerful for your website. There's two tools that I've mentioned there. So Google Analytics,
Yeah.
they're both free tools from Google and anybody can set them up and they're fairly simple to set up. I actually have a little short course on my website that teaches you how to set them up, the basics of using them as well, because they can sometimes feel really overwhelming, especially
Yeah.
Google Analytics, which tends to be the one that people have heard of. Like people have generally heard of analytics and like, oh yeah, I should have Google Analytics.
Yeah.
Google Analytics tells you how people came to your website and what action they took when they were there. So it shows you what pages they've interacted with, how long they've spent on those pages, whether they've sort of immediately bounced off of your website or whether they've stayed there and taken some action. And you can set
Yeah.
it up that it shows you, like you can set up events on there. So if somebody say clicks a button to book a call with you or clicks on particular areas. Like if it was a salon, somebody booked to buy a product or make an appointment, it would tell you that as well. You can set it up to tell you that. Whereas Google Search Console is the one that's lesser heard of, less people have heard of it. It's actually easier to use than Google Analytics. And what Google Search Console does is it helps you to understand how Google sees your website. So it will actually show you what keywords and key phrases people are typing into Google that Google is then associating with your website. And the reason that we always focus on Google, because even now, even with AI search and everything, still more than 90% of searches that go through a search engine go through Google. So that's why we focus on Google. And the things that you do for Google will also help you to then show up in the other search engines as well. But it's really important because it helps you. I think one of the sort of key things when I'm working with clients on this is we can discover what Google is associating with your website, but more importantly, what it's not. So sometimes
Yeah.
we've sort of, people don't necessarily take that step back and think about what do I want to be showing up for? What are the basic things that I
Mhm.
should be showing up for on Google? Like for yourself,
Yeah.
beauty and skincare awards, is Google associating that term with your website? It's likely that it is because it's part of your domain name, and it does help definitely. But it's something that it's certainly worth having those tools set up so that you can then understand what's happening with that data and where you're getting people coming in through search and through other areas as well. Do you do any email marketing or anything like that?
So yeah.
So you can also then see that within your Google Analytics. So you can see how many people are coming to your website from your emails, and you can even set up tags so you know specifically which email has sent people in. And you can also see how many people are coming from socials and all of the different areas that people are coming into your website. So I would definitely say
Amazing.
that's my first tip, but like really important.
Yeah.
Even if you think, well, I'm not going to do anything with this at the moment, if you get it set up, it can be there gathering data in the background. So when
Yeah.
you're then at a point where you're like, right, yeah, I need to focus on this, I want to understand about this information, then you've got that information there that is sort of has gathered in the background, really.
Yeah. Amazing. Definitely do that. Thank you.
Yeah. I think it's so important, and it's so often like it's usually something that even if people have got it set up, they don't necessarily look at it regularly enough to actually make some informed decisions about it, really.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Brilliant.
going
Yeah.
to start sharing my screen. Fantastic. Right. So from looking at your website, I am going to talk about some conversion points as well, because I think it does all tie in together. And certainly with some of the things that I've sort of had a quick look at your website and some of the things I've noticed there are things that you could do that would help not only with your SEO and with actually getting more traffic from Google and other search engines, but I think that from doing those things, that would probably help with your conversions as well as people actually come into your website. So, one of the things I always say when people come onto your website, within 3 seconds, ideally, we want them to know what you do, how you're going to make their life better, and what they need to do to get it. And
Yeah.
if I actually come over onto the responsive version, so this is just showing what your website looks like on mobile. And
Yeah.
realistically, the majority of your clients are probably going to be looking, or the people that are going to be applying for the awards are people that are going to be
Yeah.
looking on mobile. And this is
Yeah.
something else you can see in Google Analytics. It will actually tell you what percentage of your website visitors are coming from mobile and what are coming from desktop. The majority of people are coming on mobile. So it's always worth
Yeah.
thinking about that first. But ideally, we want our website to look good and do its job well, whatever device people are looking at our
Yeah. Of
websites
course.
on. I would definitely say one thing that's probably missing from your site is actually talking about the benefits of why people would want to apply for the awards. What's in it for them, basically. So
Yeah.
obviously, you're saying what you do, and that's great that you've got that information there. But who's it for? And what is it going to do for their business? How is it going to help them? Because
Yeah.
obviously it's a massive thing that if it's going to raise the authority of any businesses that, especially the
Absolutely.
ones that get through to the finals, it's so important for them. And actually digital PR, and this is a way for them to build their digital PR, is even more important as we move into more AI searches and AI overviews. The way that the AI bots are actually deciding what websites to show, the foundations of SEO have to be in there. So people
Yeah.
have to have like got those basics in place on their website. But it also, those AI bots are going to be going out and actually looking for other places that those websites have been mentioned and
Yeah.
authoritative places that those websites have been mentioned as well. So that's something that you can build that into your messaging of the ways that people coming in and entering the awards and especially winning the awards, what it can do for their business.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I would definitely say to try and get that in here in this top area here, really.
Okay.
Whether you could maybe make this into a button or something that looks a little bit clearer on actually this is where you need to click rather than it just being text with an underline.
Yeah.
If that's a button, people are much more likely to click on it on the
Okay.
button.
Yeah.
Also think about the people that are coming into the website. What is their level of awareness? Are they people who already know that they want to enter the awards, or are they
Mhm.
people that are trying to learn more, or they're curious about it? And you will have different people coming into your website at different stages.
Yeah.
And also, it's not always easy on the homepage. The homepage often will have more than one call to action,
Yeah.
more than one thing that you want people to do. Whereas actually, with any other page on your website, ideally we do just want one call to action if we can, a maximum of two. So it's whether
Yeah.
people want to apply for an award or find out more. And maybe you have that there within this section is actually if somebody's ready to apply, they've come here, they've already explored and they know that they want to apply. What is the next thing that they need to do? And maybe actually the next thing that they need to do is find out what categories they want to apply for
Yeah.
and thinking about that. So I know you've got this process here. I'll come down to this in a minute, but thinking about that of actually, okay, how do they know? How do they know how do they sort it in terms of what category they're going to go into, what the best categories are for them? And do you have
Yeah.
anything like that? Have you thought about the sort of customer journey through the site and how people actually would decide what categories to go into?
Yeah, so I think when we first set up the website, it was mainly from sort of the point of view when I've applied for awards myself as like a skin specialist. And I thought about sort of that sort of journey and then coming from it from that point of view. I think because what we try and do is we really like segregate out the categories. So it should be quite obvious what people want to apply for. So if they, for example, if there's an aesthetics practitioner, there's an aesthetics practitioner category. If they're a
Mhm.
skin specialist, there's a skin specialist category. If they're like a lash technician, we have a lash artist category and things like that. So I think the categories are fairly self-explanatory, but what we have thought about doing previously is putting them sort of instead of it all being on one page, have a drop down menu of aesthetics, salon categories, things like that to segregate it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there of actually from what you've described there immediately, if you could add that into your navigation menu,
Yeah,
as well as on your homepage as well. I
yeah,
think that could
absolutely.
make a massive difference to how people can navigate your website. It's all
Yeah,
about not making them burn extra mental calories. So if they can
yeah, of
immediately
course.
see if I am a lash technician, if I am an aesthetics clinic, so that people click on it and they're immediately, it's obvious to them. And is
Yeah,
there, I'm guessing that there would be some where there'd be crossover between the different
yeah,
categories depending on what they do. So that's
yeah,
great. Then that these are the specific categories for your industry. And you might also consider these categories here as well.
yeah,
I think
perfect.
that would be a really, really good way to make it clearer, make your navigation menu a little bit easier to navigate, definitely.
Okay.
And for people then just to not be confused, that's something that sort of prevents people from actually taking action on your site. If
Yeah,
someone's confused, they
absolutely.
just won't do it. And the way
Yeah.
that that will help with your SEO as well is then you're going to have pages that will talk to those keywords of
Mm.
lash technician or those kind of
Yeah.
things really. And you could actually build that out as like category pages on the site as well. So I haven't, let's have a little look. So if I click into one of these, I think this takes you through just to a checkout page, doesn't it, in
It
here?
does. Yeah.
So you could then create some category pages. So it would
Yeah.
be beauty and skincare awards.co.uk slash lash technicians or something like that,
Yeah.
or even maybe even lash technicians awards, or you definitely will want to spend some time thinking about this. And this is where if you have Google Search Console set up, then you could think about what are you not showing up for in Google Search Console that you actually
Yeah.
you would want to. And if you were doing that, so let's take, for example, Beauty Therapist of the Year. I think that could potentially be a good category page. So you would create that. So it would be beauty and skincare awards.co.uk
Yeah.
slash beauty dash therapist dash of the you could
Yeah.
maybe no, actually I probably would put in because it's short. I'd say dash of dash the dash year.
Yeah.
And that would immediately help Google to understand that you're involved in Beauty Therapist of the Year and awards.
Yeah.
And then within that page, you ideally with any page on our website, we want it to have at least 350 words if we can.
Okay.
Otherwise, Google classes it as sort of thin content. So within
Yeah.
Beauty Therapist of the Year, that page, maybe have something in there that explains about the awards, because if you think about those kind of pages, somebody
Yeah.
could potentially land on that page. Ideally, people should be able to come into any page of your website and not
Yeah.
know anything about what you do, and immediately understand what you do, what's in it for them, how to get it, etc. You could definitely have something at the top of the page explaining about the awards, explaining specifically about Beauty Therapist of the Year, what would be the benefits to them of actually doing that. And it doesn't have to be a ton of content, and we definitely don't want a wall of text. So if you think about ways that you can explain that in lists or maybe a table
Yeah.
or bullet points, icons, pictures, anything like that that can help people to understand and break up that text. You'd want to be using headings. I'm going to talk about headings in a minute as well, because I saw that as something, as a potential SEO,
Yeah.
something you could fix quite quickly, really. But you could definitely do that. And that would also then link to the other pages. So it would link to the pages for Lash Technician of the Year. It would link to pages for Aesthetics Practitioner of the Year, because that is a sort of very general one of Beauty Therapist of the Year. That has the potential to create some great internal links on your
Yeah.
website. And the
Amazing.
way that we link our website together is really important, because it helps Google to crawl through your website and understand everything in the context of all the different stuff on your website. But it also
Yeah.
helps to keep people there longer as well, which is good for SEO. It's good for conversion.
Absolutely.
People are much more likely to take action on our website if they're there longer and they can understand more about what we do, really. So
Yeah. Perfect.
I think that you've got some real opportunity there for just thinking about how can we make it easier for people to
Yeah.
understand where they need to go, what they need to do, learn
Yeah.
more about this, and then create those category pages around that, really.
Yeah. Brilliant.
One thing I would just say as a quick tweak that you could do is
Yeah.
this. We're talking about desktop here, and you will have some visitors from desktop, definitely, especially if people are in salon and they're on the computer, they're thinking about it when they're at work, then there
Yeah.
will be some people coming through from desktop. But maybe think about just making your logo a little bit smaller here, like whipping it up into one of the corners, because this is the most important space on your website. This bit above the
Yeah.
scroll, above the fold, we call it. So that bit when people land on your page and then before they start scrolling is the most valuable space on your website. And this is a lot
Yeah.
of white space here. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say to maybe make your logo a bit smaller, maybe make
Okay.
your navigation menu font a little bit bigger. Google
Yeah.
isn't keen on font size below 16. I'm going to look at
Okay.
this. So it is 14 actually. So immediately up in that font size is
Yeah.
helpful. Anything like we don't want people to have to get their glasses out to read our website,
Yeah.
basically. And
Yeah. Of
especially on
course.
mobile as well. Sometimes it's even more so on mobile. People can sometimes think we need to have a smaller font on mobile, but actually, if anything, it is slightly the opposite. We need it to be the right size, basically. We don't want giant fonts that then people have got to scroll all the way down the page to read the basic information. But I
Yeah.
would maybe look at that and look at it on an actual mobile as well, because sometimes it does look a bit different on these tools that I use on desktop.
Yeah.
But I would say from looking at your navigation menu there, you could maybe have the font size a little bit bigger and make sure there's plenty of room around it as well. So that if somebody's
Okay.
tapping and they've got slightly bigger fingers or a little bit more accessibility problems, make sure
Yeah.
that they can tap on that screen and they're
Okay.
not going to tap on the wrong place. Google
Yeah.
likes a space around buttons and links and things like that as well. Can be an SEO factor as well, that Google does take that into account when it's ranking websites.
Brilliant.
So again, the same thing with your logo. Make your logo a little bit smaller on the mobile version as well, definitely. And whenever we're looking at web pages and we're looking for sort of quick wins and things that you could do to immediately make it clearer to Google and to the bots on what the website is about,
Yeah.
we look at the page structure. So I'm going to just fire up one of my little SEO tools. So this immediately tells me about what you've got on your page title and your page description. And I think there
Yeah.
is some room for improvement there, definitely. So
Yeah.
the page title is the thing that you see when your website shows up in a Google search. The page title is the blue link that we get.
Yeah.
And that obviously it does need to tie in with what the page is about. And this is great, except for you're repeating it twice there. So you could definitely use ChatGPT to help you with this as well. I'm not a copywriter. I
Yeah.
always say that, but I'm not a copywriter.
Yeah.
But just thinking about what do you want this page to be ranking for on Google and how can you get that in there?
Yeah.
Definitely have the Beauty and Skincare Awards UK in there, but you only need it once. And you, with this, we want to keep it under 70 characters if we can, which is great that you've got that there, but making sure
Yeah.
that you are using those 70 characters
Yeah.
as much as you can is really helpful. I did ask ChatGPT for an idea for a description realistically. The description is the thing that then, when you've got those blue links on Google, the description is the bit that shows underneath it. And it's the bit that
Okay.
encourages people to click through to your website. So
Yeah.
again, thinking about what you're trying to get this page ranking for, get that in there as well. So ChatGPT, I didn't actually prompt it with, this is what we're trying to rank this page for. I just said, give me a better idea for a description here. And it
Yeah.
said it's celebrating the best in beauty and skincare. Discover how these UK skincare awards spotlight innovation, excellence, and standout brands in the industry. I definitely think that you could get beauty and skincare awards in there as well. But that's something just as an idea of how you can improve that page description.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you would
We'll
do that in
definitely
the
do
back
that.
end of your Shopify. There'll be a spot for you to add your page descriptions in there, really. And one thing to
Brilliant.
note is if people don't set a page description, Google will just take some content from the page and put that in there. And you
Right.
may even find that Google is already doing that. If you Google your website, you might find that Google isn't actually showing this recognizing
Yeah.
excellence. It might not be showing that in there. Then when you look at your pages, ideally we want to follow a hierarchy that's a bit like an English essay. This helps Google's bots and also accessibility readers as well to understand the content of our page. So ideally, if you think about it, if you were back at school and you were writing an English essay, you would have one heading and then you'd
Yeah.
have some subheadings within that. And then
Yeah.
maybe you would have some subheadings or some subtopics within those H1s. So we would have H1s, H2s,
Yeah.
and H3s. And
Okay.
realistically, for most websites, you don't need to go lower than a H3. Like
Yeah.
certainly for the majority of websites, that would be fine for you, really. So you are missing a H1 heading, and that is the most
Yeah.
important heading that tells Google what this page is about. So you
Okay.
could have that. You could just literally with this, the Beauty and Skincare Awards UK, you could
Yeah.
have that as your H1 heading, or you could choose something else. You could have the Beauty and Skincare Awards somewhere higher up the page, or have
Yeah.
something in there that it depends on what you're trying to get this page to rank for, but
Yeah.
there's definitely some room for improvement there. And one thing you could do immediately is just go in and change what you've got there already to
Yeah.
H1, and that will
Okay.
help Google to understand the page. Try not to
Perfect.
have any headings that have got empty text in them if you can. That's
Yeah.
probably going to be some rogue box somewhere that's got that. And then I often feel it's good to take a step back and think about this, like maybe in a Google Doc or something where you think about, okay, this is my page. What are the important topics that I need to cover within that? So
Yeah.
you've got your categories within this, but thinking about those category pages that we talked about, maybe that would
Yeah.
be a better thing to have on your homepage. Thinking about how you can have that context with that in that as well. So if
Yeah.
it is Beauty Therapist of the Year, maybe making sure that you've got the word award within that heading will help
Yeah.
Google take context for all of this stuff as well, really.
Okay.
So you've got the process. It could be so thinking about how would Google take that information and understand it if it didn't have the rest of the context of the page. What
Yeah.
could you add in to help with that? And maybe that is the applying for the awards process or something like that, the process of applying for the awards, or something that just makes it a clearer and within that context, really. What else have we got here? So we've got a couple of rogue H5s at the end of the page here. This little tool I'm using is a little Google Chrome plugin. It's free. It's amazing. I use it every single day. And it's called All-in-One SEO Analyzer. So it's AIO SEO. I would definitely recommend getting it. And this immediately will help you. Like,
Absolutely.
you can come onto your website, click on this little thing, and it will tell you this important sort of SEO stuff around your website.
Perfect.
Yeah. And you can even click on it. So you can click on it and see what H2s have you got. If you want to take all the noise away, you can see that. And just looking at your pages and thinking about that in terms of, like, if I'm wanting this page to rank for beauty and skincare awards, what are the subtopics within that would also be
Yeah.
relevant, and having those as headings within the page. And it's something that I can usually tell if people have done anything with their SEO from this, because it's such a common thing. It's such a common problem. Our website builders, unfortunately, set us up to fail with this a little bit, because we adjust the headings to make it look pretty. Whereas actually it's so much more important for us to be thinking about that structure behind the pages. And again, this is even more important with AI as well, because the AI bots will be going through and reading this structure on the page as well. Think about that in terms of like the most important things coming into your website is that user journey, making it clearer for people they know where to go because they know what categories they are relevant for them.
Yeah.
And then that back end stuff of making sure your page titles and descriptions, and start with your most important pages first. So start with your homepage, maybe your about page, and maybe the judges page as well. But I mean, I tend to say focus on the pages that are closest to the sale. So actually, maybe it would be those category pages, making
Yeah.
sure those are set up first correctly, and then
Yeah.
sort of then go from there. And it's an evolution. You're not going to fix everything overnight, but you've got some quicker tweaks that you could add in there as well. And then just
Yeah,
thinking about that
absolutely.
the page and if there's any wasted space on the page as well. This section on the process, is there any way you could make this less of a wall of text? How could you
Yeah.
break that up with bullet points? Or is there anything in there that doesn't need to be there right at this point? Like with this, I love the fact that you've got 3 steps. That's really
Yeah.
important. But ideally, what we want it to be is step one is this first step that they need to take. So whether that is like click here to choose your categories, or
Yeah.
use our easy, like whether you could have something that made it simple for people to decide whether a category is for them or not. Step two is the next thing that they need to do. And then step three is we want to sort of think about the transformation there. So yeah, whether that is attend the red carpet, thinking about what's the benefits to them there, maybe, and having that as part of that step three, that transformation. And this is what their life is going to be like after they've even applied for the awards, or, because obviously, even just the process of applying is going to be helpful for them, I'm guessing, in their business, realistically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even just applying, people really get like a vision of what they've achieved so far and where
Yeah.
they want to get to in their business. And it kind of reminds them sort of how far they've come and what the vision is for the future. So we have so many people that say they're so, much more motivated after applying. They feel like so uplifted because they've forgotten what they've achieved and where they were before, and, how far they've come along. And then attending the red carpet award ceremony is such a great marketing opportunity for them. We have professional photographers, videographers that are capturing that content, and then they can use that on their websites against, all the photo backdrops and their social media and things like that. And yeah, it's a great point actually, because that transformation piece is really important, and people do get such a transformation even from applying.
Yeah,
So yeah, thank
absolutely.
you.
I think if you haven't talked about that anywhere on your website, of like the benefits of applying for beauty awards, even if you just
Yeah,
did one article page on that, and just hearing you, the passion of you talking about that as well, maybe get somebody to record you, or even you could listen back to what you've literally just said then and you could
yeah,
expand on that. But that's
yeah,
something that will
amazing.
also help. Like that's something that could then be ranking in itself in Google of what are the benefits of
Yeah,
applying for beauty awards, or, definitely get that on there, and then linking
yeah,
to that in different places as well. So almost like a blog post of this is
yeah,
why you need to apply, really, definitely.
yeah, amazing. We'll definitely do that.
And then just one quick little thing before we finish as well, just talking about links. So I did
Mhm.
have a look at your judges pages, and I noticed that you're linking to a lot of Instagram pages from the judges pages. I
Yeah,
would maybe suggest, if it works and if it works with what you're trying to achieve,
yeah,
linking to their websites could be
yeah,
more beneficial both for you and for them,
yeah,
because what that essentially does, so you've got lots of judges here who are very prestigious in the beauty and
yeah,
aesthetics and beauty industry, basically. And by you linking to Instagram, you're telling Google that your website is linked in with Instagram. Whereas actually, if you were linking, for example, if you were linking to Katie Godfrey's website,
yeah,
then Katie Godfrey's website is going to have its own domain authority on Google,
yeah,
and very recognized within the industry, very prestigious within the industry. What it does from you then linking your website to her website, it helps to almost put you in the, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like put you in the arena with those people as well.
yeah,
So I would definitely suggest, if it works for what you do, then maybe think about that, of adding
yeah,
their website
definitely.
links to yours. it's
Yeah,
it's all part of just making you that increasing your authority within the beauty industry in Google's eyes as well.
yeah,
And
of
it's even
course.
better if you can get them to link, if they're ever linking, get them to link back to your website as well. those
Yeah,
those website links are, I mean, ultimately our website is our content that we own. We don't own our Instagram accounts. Actually, all we can do to build up our own authority and also build up those judges and like the awards winners as well, when you link to them, linking to their website is something that could be really, really helpful, I
yeah,
think. And as
yeah,
you build up
amazing.
your authority on your domain, then that is something also that you can promote as a benefit from people applying to the awards. And if they then get mentioned on the results pages, and
Yeah,
then gives them a valuable backlink to their website, that's also another benefit of somebody actually going through and
absolutely.
getting through to the finalists. So I
Yeah,
would definitely think about doing that if you can. And links are so important. They're critical really for SEO and for the way that everything works in terms of the way that the internet works and people understanding how everything links together really. So yeah.
yeah, that's such a good point, because we actually asked the judges if they want to be linked with their website or their Instagram, and nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, they say their Instagram. So actually going back to them and saying what you've just said will be really helpful. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll definitely do
definitely.
that.
Definitely. I think it's so common and people will do that. They will often will just link to their Instagram. And it's not helping then. It's not helping your
Yeah,
own domain. It's not helping to drive more traffic to the place where you actually make those sales. So I think
yeah,
it's, and yeah, yeah, but I'm all about building content we own first. So I definitely
yeah,
am passionate
absolutely.
about that really. So
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Thank you.
So hopefully that's given you some pointers. Any questions?
I think the only question I had, just linking back to what you were saying about perhaps putting like a blog with what the awards can achieve for you if you enter and then become a finalist or go on to win. So I know, years ago, blogs were like the gold standard, weren't they? If you had like a blog and it did really well, you'd be ranked really highly on Google. Would you still say that blogs still have that sort of weighting on a website? Is it still worth adding content to a blog sort of once a month or however frequently?
So it all depends on the website. It's a bit like anything
Yeah,
in marketing and SEO. The answer is always it depends. I
yeah,
definitely think that the reason that blogs are so powerful is because they are written content and it's easier for
yeah,
Google to understand that. And I think it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to create a ton of content and you've got to constantly be creating blogs. But I think if you can have some articles on your website, and even if you don't think of it as a blog, you just think of some pages on your website that
yeah,
help to increase your authority, help to support those sales pages, which ultimately your checkout pages for all the different categories are your sales pages. If you can have something on there that helps to improve that and to link to those sales pages as well, that's where the value is really. So it's not necessarily on creating, and it's definitely not on creating content for the sake of it, but it's just thinking about, okay, what are the important things that I need to talk about? We probably think about this more. A lot of businesses probably think about this more for social media. They'll think about their content pillars and they'll think about those kind of things, but don't necessarily think about their core topics on their
yeah,
website. And I've got a couple of episodes around this, which I will link back to. I'll link in the show notes. Thinking about that in terms of, okay, and it doesn't need to be even called a blog or anything. It will literally be like, you could just have like, what's in it for me, or the benefits of applying for the awards, and have that on your homepage. Maybe have it in your navigation menu somewhere. It doesn't have to be like a top navigation thing, but you
yeah,
could have that under like as a drop down under the awards process or those kind of things. Definitely having that in there just helps to raise the authority of your site and just helps as Google's crawling through your site, it helps Google to understand why you are that expert on this. So
yeah,
I definitely would add things in there, like if you've got any stats from people who've actually won the awards, any testimonials and those kind of things from people who've actually been through the awards process
absolutely.
and the benefit to their business, mentioning that within that article. And that could be something that you mention it with a graphic or a
Yeah,
visual, but also having that written word on there as well, those written words on there as well. That is
yeah,
really, really valuable and can make a big difference. So yeah,
yeah,
a
absolutely. Yeah.
roundabout way of saying that, yes, it's not necessarily that blogs are important, but written content on your website that shows your
Yeah.
authority is very important.
Yeah, testimonials is definitely something we want to focus on more. And we've started to talk about it within the team
Yeah.
because we've, seen people that applied and won last year and they've come back and reapplied this year. And within their entry form, they've actually said, what they've achieved and how like their income has gone up, by 50% and how they've had amazing opportunities come their way. If it's, been speaking on stages or being featured in the press, it is such a big thing. And that's why we do the awards. That's why they were created, was to give people a platform to really showcase the businesses and the amazing work that they do. So yeah, that's been amazing. It sounds like I've got a lot of work to do over the next week. But
Or
it's
don't
been
think of
so
it over the next
helpful.
week, please, please. Just do little tweaks
Yeah,
here and there. And actually, yeah. And think of it as an ongoing thing. Your website
yeah,
is the asset that you own in your business. And actually it's
Yeah.
something that there will always be tweaks and always be things
Yeah.
as we move forward, and the changing world of search and the changing world of
Of
online
course.
business. It's something that it will evolve over time. So don't feel like you got to do
Mhm.
it all at once. Definitely.
I know, I get so focused on things. I'm like, oh, it has to be done like right away. But do what you said and focus on the quick wins first. Do
Yeah.
that and then focus on those category pages and then
Yeah.
go from there. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Definitely.
much. That's been amazing.
No, you're very welcome. It's been great. I've actually really loved diving into it as well.
Good.
It's been really good.
Yeah, it's been so helpful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So before we finish, I would love you, Kelly, just to give yourself another little shout out, just remind people of what you do. I know we've just been looking at your website, and
Yeah, of
most
course.
importantly, where they can connect with you and find out more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kelly Rose. I'm the director of the Beauty and Skincare Awards UK. You can visit our website, which is www.thebeautyandskincareawards.co.uk, or our Instagram, which is the Beauty and Skincare Awards UK. We're all about celebrating the industry as a whole. We have a really diverse range of categories. So no matter what corner of the industry you are from, there will be something in there for you. Our red carpet event is coming up in November, so you've still got a few months to apply. And yeah, we really look forward to seeing your entries.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm so glad that you mentioned your website before your Instagram as well.
Yeah,
So
sorry, I'm learning.
absolutely, definitely. So if this episode has made you think about your website and think about some ways you would like to explore making it better, just little tips and tricks that you can actually use to get some quick wins, then I would love you to book a power hour. You can go to my website. I will link to that in the show notes as well. And let's dive in. Let's have a little look at your analytics and see what's going on with your website. Or if you need some help just setting those up, I can also do that for you as well. So thank you so much for listening. And thanks, Kelly, for being here. And I'll see you soon. Bye.